Hi, welcome to Talkin' Table Top 5. This is where we talk about the top 5 games of various categories every week. As always, I am Danny. This is
Trevor.
And we are here at Zia Comics, and today we're going to talk about the top 5 funny games.
Funny games. So these are games that either everyone just really enjoys, they have a good time, they're laughing, or games that, just hit that funny bone to you where you're just like this, the artwork or the mechanics or something is just silly and it's fun.
Yeah. And this, of course, I didn't include any games. I don't know if you did, but like the ones that are trying to make you do something stupid. Like the funniness of these games,
forced ones like the Spit It Out. I think is that the one where you have the mouthpiece that
Speak Out. Speak Out. Spit It Out is by R&R Games, and that's a pretty good one.
The one with the mouthpiece where it's like, oh, we're gonna just make ourselves look foolish. That's a cheap laugh.
But it's a laugh. But it doesn't compare to our top 5.
I think it's the equivalent of being like a dirty comedian versus being a smart comedian.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Anyone can stand on stage and swear a bunch and get laughs.
Yeah.
But a true creative person works for it.
Right.
So that's how I formed my list. I don't know about yours.
Mine was mainly through experiences. Like if I have memorable moments. So I want to do a couple
off with our top 5.
Honorable mentions real quick. Rampage and Wink, hilarious games. Rampage.
We'll talk more about one of those.
Yeah. But I just wanted to bring that up real quick because that's my honorable mentions. My number 5, Cash and Guns. Ludovic Moblanc.
Yep.
And
Repos Productions.
Repos. Yep.
Asmodee Games.
Asmodee Games, yeah. Very difficult to bring this on an airplane because it has big foam guns.
They do have the big orange tips, but when people are like, why are you carrying so many foam guns with you?
Yeah, and
I play board games.
There's no situation
just be like, I'm a self-defense instructor. What up?
Yeah, we're teaching people to take
I have
the guns
60
away.
ways to disarm you and kill you with a foam gun.
So Cash and Gun, you can already see how it builds onto the funniness.
Yeah.
But the whole premise of the game is that you're all like mafia members sitting around a table, divvying up the loot, and you hold up your guns, and everybody has to point at somebody else. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, you point it at somebody.
And then it's the do you feel lucky punk.
Yeah. So you either dive
out and
or they stay and hopefully not get
you're
shot.
all greedy gangsters. But it's a good one.
Yeah, it's
a couple of
expansions
that are out.
Fun laughs.
The new one, Team Spirit, actually turns it into a team play game, which is really cool.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yep.
But number 5, Cash and Guns.
So my number 5 is a game by Cryptozoic. I don't remember the name of the designer, but it is Epic Spell Wars of the Battle Wizards. Of course, their first game, Duel at Mount Skullsfire, and their second game, Rumble at Castle Tentakill. Their new one coming out, the third in the series, is Melee at Murder Shroom Marsh, I believe. Really off-the-wall artwork. It has a similar artistic style to like some of the Adventure Time or Bravest Warriors, things like that. The art looks very similar to that. But it's essentially take yourself back to when you were 14 years old doodling in a notebook with wizards battling, and just the crazy silliness of the 3-part spells that you're casting, where it's like, Mr. Magnificence, Flaming Fireball of Death to Kill. And the Death to Kill is actually a giant floating, spiky test to kill. Yeah. So really fun game. You're trying to eliminate the other wizards just off the wall. And especially it does lend itself well to the role-playing aspect where you get to just be stupid and, put on a funny voice when you cast your spells and whatnot. So that's my number 5.
I still have yet to play that. I'm going to need to try it one day. Yeah. My number 4 has created a new meme in the shop here, and a way to shake hands. It's called Happy Salmon. Plays in about 1 minute. It's by North Star Games. Yep. And I don't remember.
I believe it's their one big game right now because they're a relatively new company.
No, Wits and Wagers.
Okay.
That's their big one. But yeah, I mean they specialize in party games, and this is one that is one of the funniest ones. When you see people play this at a convention, you see them play it at a convention. It's the loudest group.
It comes in a padded fish.
A padded fish. It comes in a salmon pouch, and the entire game is really simple and easy to play. There's 4 different cards. You either high five, you pound it, you switch places, which we won't do, or you do the happy salmon. And once you do that with a partner, then you deal your card, and the goal is to get rid of all 12 of your cards.
So it's just a quick finding someone else who has the same card at the top of their deck as you, and just like trying to get rid of them.
Yeah. We played at a convention. They're making a new version in Bluefish, and the cards are the same thing but just different colors, and you can play up to 12 players. And we played a 12-player game at a convention, and I'm not even going to call it Controlled Chaos. It was absolute insanity, but it was every other game group in the entire convention center just stopped and watched as 12 people were shouting and screaming and playing this great game. Yeah.
You're watching people run around like idiots.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So, Happy Salmon, my number 4.
My number 4 is going to be a cheap-ass game designed by James Ernest. Again, very old game, has been reprinted a number of times, but my favorite would be the Super Deluxe Edition, which was just recently reprinted through Kickstarter, and that is Lord of the Fries. Art by Brian Snoddy, again designed by James Ernest. You are all zombie fry cooks, and you are trying to make various menu items. It's a pretty straightforward hand management type of game where you have like various food items like bun and fries and drink and cow meat and bird meat and things like that, and you're trying to build these menu items. Really fun, very satirical, doesn't take itself seriously at all, and nothing puts a smile on your face like, all right, I'm going to attempt to make a chicka cheesabunga. And he already smiled on name alone. So yeah, Lord of the Fries. Has like 4 expansion decks that are out. I've heard they're gonna work on 4 more. Each new deck is a new restaurant. You can build your own menus. There's a number of other custom menus and things. So really fun.
Cool. My number 3 is by Guerrilla Games, and Jeff Sidek is the designer. Do you know this one? Wordorific. Worst cover art ever. But I love the game. When I first got it, I was incredibly disappointed. Because I got it as like a random thing. I was like, oh, this looks awful. And then I played it, and I was pleasantly surprised because we played it at the shop for the first time. And I was like, I don't know if you guys are going to like this, but let's just try it.
Yeah.
And what makes this game so good is everybody has a hand of letter cards, and that's the only thing that matters on their hand. Then you flip over a single card that has 10 categories on it, and you roll a 10-sided die, and you pick the category. Well, whoever the reader is, they're gonna pick the best word that relates to that category. Kind of like a judging game.
Okay, yeah, we did play this with the cards. Yeah.
But the fact is that you have so you have like 11 letters, I think, at the time, or like 9, and so you have to make really weird words. The humor comes in when you try and justify that word. And like I remember one was like food or something, and I was playing with this one guy, and he was like, well, you know what? Every time I go to this restaurant, there's a really great waiter. His name is Jake. So that's my word, Jake. And then he went on like a 10-minute story explaining why Jake makes the best food and why that's the best food. And he sold it with the word Jake.
It's one of those games that all too easily people are like, when you think about it.
Well, that's the whole premise. Like, you have to think about it.
The category is travel. When you think about it, if you're going to travel, you might want to go on rail.
Yeah, exactly. And then you misspell the word half the time. But then what makes it great is when somebody has a word, like they have the word, I don't know, fries.
Yeah.
And it's food, and then they don't even justify it. They just drop the words fries.
Yeah.
You all lose.
You hit that moment of like, yep, that literally fits
and then everyone's like, yeah, all right, we got it. You pretty spot on. Or when you spell the word that the category is for food, you spell the word food.
Yep.
You can't beat that, sorry.
Yep.
I don't know. I love that game. It's been one of the best ones permanently in my collection now.
Nice.
So, that's my number 3.
My number 3 is going to be a game designed by Antoine Bauza.
Going to be?
Well, it's out.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, it's like if it hasn't been released yet.
So he had mentioned it earlier, Rampage. That is no longer the title. So if you go looking for Rampage, you may not find it because it's now called Terror in Meeple City because of its similarities to the video game, the arcade game Rampage, in which you were playing as giant monsters, destroying buildings. This is basically the tabletop version of that. It's a dexterity game. You're flicking discs, gets the monster over to the buildings. You're actually picking up this wooden dinosaur and dropping it on cardboard buildings being held up by meeples and knocking buildings down. And I don't think I've ever seen a game played where people are frowning. Like, you can't frown while you're playing Terror in Meeple City. You're just like, and the meeples go flying and you're like, hey!
It's something like truly childish, like just watch things fall over and giggle.
Yeah.
But it's a very pleasant
And again,
feeling.
Repost Productions.
Yep, Repost. Top notch. 90 meeples. It's a lot.
And Space Cowboys.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't realize
both
that.
of them. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Because they had a Space Cowboys expansion from International Tabletop Day a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's right.
Where when old people escape, it finally gives you something to do with them. You get more super secret powers.
That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Cool. My number 2, I'm actually going to change my list right now because I've decided.
On the fly.
On the fly. Number 2 is Dr. Panic by Roberto Fraga and also Repost.
Yep.
Plays 2 to 9 players.
Yep.
Where you are all doctors. You have 12 minutes to cure the patient in all these weird and wacky ways.
There's 10 different...
8 mini games.
8 mini games.
Yeah, and you have to do these all real time, like either stacking up the EKG machine and passing him with tweezers through that without knocking it over, through stitching him up, through finding and sterilizing the cards.
I think the funniest thing is when the patient flatlines.
Oh yeah, and then you immediately have to stop what you're doing. One person's pushing a whoopee cushion for the heart.
With the heart on it, and you just go...
Yeah, and then everybody else is trying to frantically put together this code, and then everybody stops and goes, 1, 2, 3, charge! And then sometimes it doesn't work. And then they go flatline again. Yeah. And then the boss calls and gives you like weird things, like everybody has to roll around.
We downloaded it at the shop, and it was the weirdest thing to me because I'm watching people running around a table playing this.
And the card said specifically,
and
radiation leak, you need to leave and go into another room for 10 seconds.
Yeah. And I watched
8 people
ran into follow each other into the bathroom and shut the door. And then 10 seconds later come running back out and keep playing. And I'm standing there watching this mixed herd of people just careen into the bathroom. And there's like a table of Ticket to Ride and another table at
and we're all just looking.
I think Pandemic was the other one. And so some people are in an intense game of Pandemic, and then all of a sudden 8 people run into the bathroom and they're like,
and then we in Dr. Panic. Yeah, and we just continued the game. So they came back like
everyone's just like business as usual.
Yeah, it was amazing how well.
And it comes with 9 hairnets.
9 hairnets, 1 for every player. You know, because it matters. You need to have that when you're a doctor.
When you're a surgeon, you gotta have your hair in a hairnet.
And also, the fact that it has tweezers.
Yeah.
All the heavy cardboard, all the extra cards, all the extra components, and it's like a $40 game.
It's certainly very, very silly. So that's my number 2. Okay. My number 2 is by Brotherwise Games. I don't remember the name of the designers, but they are brothers. And that is Boss Monster as a series, specifically Boss Monster 2 The Next Level, just because it does add so much more depth and complexity. There's now dual heroes. You have more bosses to choose from, more... It's basically a standalone expansion, so it can be mixed with the first Boss Monster. They have really fun 8-bit artwork. You are playing as the boss monster of a dungeon, and you are building the dungeon out of cards, trying to lure heroes into the dungeon and kill them to collect their souls for victory. If they make it to your monster, you take that as a wound. You can be eliminated by taking 5 wounds, but the first player to 10 souls wins. Really fun, a lot of parody stuff where there's like an assassination spell card and it's got Ezio from Assassin's Creed.
Yep. Jon Snow.
There's a Jon Snow reference. There's references to Conan the Barbarian and Lara Croft, and with the new 5 and 6 player expansion, references to Alien. And just one of my favorite is the Jeopardy spell card, which has a Demon Alex Trebek in 8-bit on it. just really, really fun game. Does not take itself seriously at all, and I think there's no point I've ever seen. It's one of those few like backstabby games where you're actually not mad that it happened because the game is so fun that you're just like, oh, you got me with the, oh, you suck.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Boss Monster.
It's definitely one of the more well-received ones here,
Yeah.
that's for sure. So my number one, I have never played this game or demoed it ever without people laughing during it. Time's Up
Go
by
on.
R&R Games. Don't know the designer. It's a remake of like a bunch of older games. But basically it's 3-level password.
Yep.
But the first level, you have 40 words that everybody kind of collectively puts in together, or terms. It could be book titles, movie titles, people, phrases, whatever. There's all sorts of different things.
Round
that are
one,
well known.
you can't say the words on the card.
can't say
but
the
you're trying
words.
to get your teammate to guess.
Right, and then round two, you're only allowed to say one word to try and get it. Now, keep in mind, the same 40 cards are shuffled in between each round. So the first round goes the longest because you're trying to figure out what the words are. So, like one
But
of
it's
the
the
books
same
might
cards
be,
just getting
Yeah.
shuffled up and redealt out.
Yeah. So the second one, you kind of go off of the memes that were created in the first one, and then the third round, you can't say a word. You have to pantomime.
You can make
have to
make
act.
sounds, I believe.
I don't believe so.
No?
No, I don't think sounds are humming. But
Okay.
either way, I remember.
Maybe that was second round we did that.
Yeah. I remember there was Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah.
And I remember when I acted that out, I just caught my friend and then ran over to a loaf of bread in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And they figured it out.
Yeah.
Wait, did they? No, yeah, they did. Yeah, it was bad acting, but it worked because you have those previous 3 memes, it meta games throughout the whole thing, and people, I saw my father-in-law do the Ace Ventura butt talking, like, that was amazing. I've never had people go away unhappy with this game.
Nice.
So, Time's Up by R&R Games.
My number one is going to be from Steve Jackson Games. I want to say the original designer was Andrew Hackard, and that is Geek.
Oh, yes.
I believe it's Andrew Hackard. I may be wrong. If I am,
don't remember.
I apologize. But it is art by John Kovalik, known for Munchkin and Cash and Guns, a number of other games as well. He does Dork
Apples
Tower.
to Apples.
So, Shea Geek, you are all college students who are trying to slack off, basically. You all have your dead-end college jobs, and you're trying to buy alcohol and various illicit substances, and maybe have a wild night roll in the hay with your significant other, or just random person.
Or watch TV.
Yeah, or watching TV, or surfing the internet, and all these other things. It's basically it's college life, the card game. You know, like it's one of the few times where you're like, all right, I'm gonna go shopping, and one of the cards you can buy is ramen noodles. Like, the moment I saw that, I was like, all right, I like
Makes
this.
sense, yeah.
This was my college life.
See, I went to college online, so I only played the digital app version of this.
But
Go ahead. Yeah.
So, Shea Geek, really fun. There's a number of different versions, and all of them do mix together. So there's Shea Goth,
Shea Goth.
so you can have that kind of depressive, downer side to it. There is gloom tokens that you can get, and you're trying to be like the gloomiest person. Yeah,
Yeah.
really fun game.
But really, Shea Geek takes the cake. It's really good, and it's a good entry level because anybody's like, oh, have you gone to college or thought about it? Yeah, here you go. Play this card
And
game.
9 times out of 10, we see that the people that are getting into board games right now is that 18 to 24 range.
Yep.
You know, and so like this is the prime game for them. It's, do you want to see a game that is your life right now but taken into parody? Here's Shea Geek.
Yep.
So
Exactly. So-
really, really fun game. I don't think I've ever played a game in which we weren't all laughing.
Probably. Yeah, I think that'd probably go for me too. That's a really good one. So that was our top 5 funniest games of this week.
Yep.
Join us next week for the top 5. you remember what they were?
Something else.
Yeah, something else. Join in next week. You'll see what it is. Bye for now, and thanks for joining us.